I thought just to illustrate these points, I'd try a little exercise on you, but I need a couple of volunteers. You'll have fun. I know this seems risky, but it's not. I need a little help up here. Thank you. Can I have one more? Okay, young lady back there. I'm going to ask Jason and Vanessa to bid. We're going to have auction. Actually, I have 7 of these nickels. A very simple little negotiation. Vanessa will begin the first nickel, and we'll alternate who begins. And here's what it is. I'm going to ask you how much you'll pay me for this nickel. And you have to start at least a penny, and no fractions. And then, Jason, I'm going to come to you and say, you either have to bid higher or pass. We'll go back, forth, till somebody finally passes. And the person who gets it for the highest gets it, and we'll move on to nickel number 2. All right, that didn't take long. Let me just try once again. Can I have a Millie? Does that work? All right, same exercise. All right. Okay, you're students in new behavior. What happened here? What happened? What happened?
I guess we all wanted to get a lower price, but unwilling to cooperate with the other person.
Okay, other thoughts? What happened? Is this a distributive or integrative negotiation here? Distributed. Why? Why was this distributed? It was. But this is clearly an integrative situation. No?
It depends.
Vanessa and Jason, why was this? Why did you guys approach? Well, let me put this one. How much could this team have made together by integrating?
-1.
Together, how much could they have made? How much money?
35.
Not quite.
No, 34.
35 minus 7.
No. Yeah.
How much they made? They made -2. They made -1. How much could this team have made? 28 cents. How much did they make? 9. I apologize for my crudeness here, but this is 9 cents your team made. No company, no organization can survive leaving this kind of money on the table. No organization, profit or non-profit. Why 5 cents over or 4? What did that do for your profit? What did it do for your profit? Let's just hear it loud and clear for the microphone there.
Nothing.
It did nothing for your profit. So, why did you do it?
If you consider it a sale, it still got me volume.
Your goal was what? Maybe it was to collect the nickels.
Yeah,
But I think you might have had another goal.
make profit.
I hope that wasn't your goal because you weren't too good at it. I'd like to think you had another goal in mind.
Prevent her.
I would suspect your true motivation here was not to maximize profit, it was to minimize hers. Huh? That's my guess. Where'd that come from? I never asked you to beat her, right? Your goal is to maximize your profit. 28 cents to be made, 28 million if you like. Look what they made. 28 here, and they made 9. How did this happen? How did this happen? Go ahead.
It's our own internal competitive nature.
I have no problem with that. But, was this a competitive exercise?
Well, it's a kind of masochism.
Well, let me back up. I have no problem with there being competitive. This was competitive. But, Millie had the wrong competitor. Vanessa had the wrong competitor. Who is she competing against? Who, in reality, looking at this exercise, who is she competing against? You. Exactly. It was the two of you against me. Be as competitive as you like. I have no problem with that. But you better be right about who you're competing with. You had the wrong guy. Was there a difference here between individual goal and group goal?
Yeah.
Because when I said the team could make 28, I never mentioned you guys were a team, did I? Are you a team?
It can be.
Could be. It was ambiguous. Now, you could come back to me and say, I caused the problem. Any of you could say that. I never told you were a team. All right? I could have told you how to solve this problem, but I didn't. I knew things were going poorly here, but what did I do? I made some sarcastic comment. Well, not very helpful, was I? Right? But not, right? And that wasn't very helpful. If I were really good coach in negotiation or a boss. You two subordinates are doing what you did, right? I could be much more helpful, but I wasn't. All right? But the reality is, what we see here is actually a microcosm of practically all of our negotiations. They're ambiguous. They can go either way. They can be distributive or integrative. Your call. You guys chose to make this. Now, I made it a little harder. I called it an auction, which doesn't sound like cooperation. I put your names on the board. You're new. You don't know. You're in front of strangers. All right? I put some barriers in your way. And frankly, it would have been really hard to overcome it. Right? To be fair, I wouldn't really expect you to overcome it. But I'd like to make this point, that in our real life negotiations, you have barriers all the time. They're full of ambiguity. They're full of complexity. Ellie saw something. She saw that, I think, in truth, which is true of all integrative negotiations. The only way, Millie, for you to maximize your profit is to help Justin maximize his, and Justin vice versa. The only way for you to get your 14 cents, half of 20 or 16 or 12, something near half, which is what you should have gotten, is to help her achieve her goals. Right? All right? So, I mean, that's the strange thing about this game. The only way for you to maximize profit is to help the other guy maximize hers. And that's what integrative negotiations are all about. We cannot typically satisfy our interests unless we figure out what the other guy's interests are and make sure her interests or his interests are also satisfied. And of course, this room would like to know, Manassa, what Sixth Sense was all about. We're waiting to hear that.
Well, my goal was to collect as many nickels as possible.
Okay, all right. And one could argue that companies do that. They try to get market share, and then when they get market share, then
later on I can sell it for more.
then that's right.
That's what I thought.
Okay, all right. And which is true. It could be. If I said who of the four who won this exercise, you'd probably like to argue you did, because you couldn't care less about my goal, maximizing profit. Your goal is to corner all the nickels you could get, and you did it. You're pretty good at it. You're pretty good at it. You got 5 of them. Yeah, it's a matrix where if both say they did it, they get a moderate prison sentence. If both say they're innocent,
They get off free.
well, no. The police think they have enough to convict one. And if one squeals on the other, and the other doesn't squeal, the one that squeals gets off free, and the other guy gets 10 years. That kind of thing. It's a classic prisoner's dilemma. They can't communicate. They don't know whether to trust the other guy or not to trust. Same thing as this. I'd like to make the point that many of our negotiations are elements of this little silly prisoner's dilemma exercise exist, meaning, do we trust the other guy or don't we? If I leave myself vulnerable by trusting, will he take advantage of me? That tension between integrative and distributive negotiations, a very real tension. It's in many ways safer to be protective and distributive, and the tendency is to do what these guys did. It's not easy being integrated. I tried this with my in-laws once, and they had it up to $10 or something, and I couldn't understand what was going on. And my mother-in-law said, "Well, it's his money. I don't care. And whatever I have to do, he's not getting that nickel." So we finally ended the game. Okay. What I'd like to do with my time is to do a little negotiation, just a case that happened in Boston a little while ago.